So do you, want to be clear on something, do you do only direct distribution, or do you also distribute through HomeAway and VRBO, et cetera?
Yeah, we distribute through the channels.
Okay.
In markets that we launched early on, we're getting a lot of direct traffic, a lot of direct conversions because we've built a client base over the years.
So they truly are partners, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. HomeAway, for many years, HomeAway was clearly the number one far and away. Airbnb in recent years is making it easier for managers to work with them. The platform was really designed for a peer-to-peer basis, not for a many homes to one basis.
So do you distribute on Airbnb? That's for both of you?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
But agree. It's set up in a slightly more challenging way to just from kind of a back-end perspective to manage multiple listings. It really is more set up for individuals, and you got your personal profile there. It has a very peer-to-peer feel, although, yeah, they are moving more towards being accommodating of property managers, which is how they would categorize both of us, I think.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that yield management, and I'm assuming that also includes pricing. Was an area of, did you build your own or did you partner for that? I was unclear on that.
No, we built that in-house.
Okay.
So initially it was a lot of revenue management, me and Eric. Eric is an analyst, the other co-founder. I was a tax attorney, so both of us had a very analytical background. So we took just basic principles of economics and applied them to the vacation rental industry where that was not normal. And by that alone allowed us to offer a revenue guarantee that we would beat prior year performance for any home.
Nice. And Parker, what about you for pricing and yield management? By the way, I saw that 180 pounds, and I thought that's a great deal when you compare it to luxury, 40%. So that's too much of a discount. Sounds like you're leaving money on the table.
Possibly. Might need to get these guys tools. It's not a strength for us. I'll be frank. I think, as he said, Vacasa was born more as a solution for the property owner or manager, and we were more traveler focused. So while, of course, we do provide a service for the property owner, the owners that we target are a little less, I'd say, revenue maximizing focused. It's a pied-à-terre owner who would love to get some extra income from his house, or it's an investment property owner, a developer who is going to leave these 8 condos empty. They weren't going to put a long-term tenant in there unless Oasis came along. So we're a little more, again, focused on kind of the guest experience and really doubling down on that aspect versus maximizing every dollar of revenue for the owner. It's not to say that we shouldn't do that. It's the classic, can't do everything. I think it's definitely an area where I would hope a Hyatt could help us on the revenue management side.
Yeah, well, great endorsement in both cases. The Hyatt Investment Partnership. How much did you say you just raised?
103.5 million.
That's really
monster.
Impressive. Congratulations. It's a monster raise. You got a lot of dry powder in what was, in fact, a pretty established old business. Managing rental properties, nothing that new, but you're doing it in a different way. So it's quite an endorsement.
Yeah, for me, it's a validation of the industry on the management side. Airbnb and HomeAway are the only two that have had larger rounds in the industry, and obviously they're both did pretty well. So for me, validating that there's value on that management side was a huge part of what this round represents.
So the other thing I think is fascinating, there are markets around the world which are no hotel markets by law in many cases. I know in the U.S. we've got Pebble Beach that is very restricted. There are some hotels, but there will be no new hotels there ever. So it's a saturated market for that. Closer to where I live in St. George Island, Florida, there's a mandate, no hotels, it's only homes. There's a lot of rental activity. But in a way, you're doing what I used to talk with IHG franchises about. You're creating a synthetic hotel in a lot of ways, right? Mm-hmm. It's all the benefits without that, which then opens up the possibility for investors who want to capitalize in that market, but they can't put a property there. They could actually buy 10, 20 homes and synthesize that. Is that part of the strategy?
Yeah, we definitely see that happening. Whether it's, as I said, a developer of a condo building and it's a slow sales market. So they say, hey, let's sort of divert our risk from the pure sales side and actually have a revenue generating activity for 10, 20 units in a building, or as you said, someone comes in and says, yeah, hey, there's a booming tourism market in Punta del Este, Uruguay, which is an area where we operate. Let's buy or build a collection of 8 or 10 high-end homes and put them with Oasis. We are seeing more of that. It's becoming more of a professionalized space, right, in both directions.
Right. Fascinated also by the, so Hyatt's move into the affiliate or associate brand space is not a surprise because everyone's done it, but this adoption of home rentals as a way of manifesting that Unbound collection, that's very interesting. That's very forward thinking. Why did they do that? What was their reason? Was it because of a distribution challenge? They wanted to get more locations faster and it was harder to sell against Curio and Autograph, or is it more strategic? What's the reason?
I think there's a few. I think it kind of at the highest level, the way that they kind of explained the strategy to me was they have a very specific customer base and sort of a upscale focused customer base, and they want to retain that customer base for as many stay occasions as possible. And sometimes that customer base wants a hotel, probably the majority of the time, but sometimes they don't, right? If that traveler, that Hyatt loyalist is going on a 3-week project to Latin America, probably want an apartment, probably don't want to be in a hotel, right? Or if you're traveling with an extended family with 3 kids, you don't want to have 3 adjacent hotel rooms. It's not a good experience. And so they kind of thought, this is a way to keep that traveler in the sort of world of Hyatt. And on those stay occasions, obviously very sensitive to the brand element, which is why they would never invest in sort of a more of a booking platform, right? It has to be the high hospitality standards. That was a fundamental element, and there's a list this long of standards that we have to sort of maintain for all of the properties, as there should be. And I think a secondary element is to your point. Sure, it helped because our model is nimble and it's easier to launch in markets than to build a hotel, which is probably a 5-year development cycle. It is a way to get into more markets faster. They don't have any hotels in Spain at all. So we have Madrid and Barcelona. They don't have anything there, which is hard to imagine, but there's still relatively boutique compared to the Marriotts of the world that have 5,000 hotels. They only have 700. So to enter Rome through us, to enter Barcelona through us was probably a secondary element of the strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting to see the similarities and differences between your models, because you're not quite a full service management company, but you have a lot of flavor of that. You're distributing, but you're also a distributor, right? You haven't crossed that gap to the hotel partnership. Very interesting.
Yeah, on our end, I would say one of the things we've seen is that it's completely different demand segments. He mentioned, if somebody's staying for 3 weeks in a location, more than likely they want a kitchen, they want a washer dryer, they want a house experience, or if they're traveling with 8 people together. So we really haven't seen, and we operate mostly in destination communities, but we do have some urban markets as well. In the destination communities, there simply aren't enough hotel rooms to fulfill demand.
Right.
And so it's really been complementary, and we've actually purchased a few small boutique hotels that were being run really poorly as hotels because they didn't. If you have an 11-unit hotel and an on-site manager that doesn't care all that much, you're not going to improve the experience or the property. And so by taking them, renovating them, and delivering a vacation rental experience in there, we've been able to triple the income in a few of those cases.
And you bought them. You not just managed
them. Those 3. Yeah. Well, then we decided, okay, it's better deploying our capital buying companies than
other people's
buildings. So we learned a valuable lesson in 2014.
I want to take a question from Slido, and then we'll break for lunch. Let's see. I like this. Okay. How will you ensure unique inventory in the long run so that you are not just another distributor, develop your own properties, ground up, right? You're using existing inventory effectively, and then you're branding it, managing it, selling it. Is this, do you think that you'll eventually have a prototype model that you try to build, and maybe a true OPM model where you're getting other people to finance units that you, in fact, design?
Yeah, I think for us, keeping the differentiation between units is a really critical part of our value proposition. The people who want to stay in a home want it to feel like a home away from a home. They're not necessarily looking for the same thing in terms of standardization and predictability. Some things they want to be standardized and predictable, such as cleanliness. They want the amenities there. They want things to work. But that's why we really pride ourselves on making sure that all of the basics are done really well, and then we start adding additional services. So, because that really even varies quite a bit. In the U.S., people are self-catering. They typically prefer to not have to meet anybody and just be able to go straight to the home and have everything they need there. In a lot of our international destinations, let's take Belize for instance, people have a really hard time once they land figuring out how to get around and things like that. So the more we actually provide more service up front. So in terms of actually differentiating the units, a lot of that work is done for us because we're managing homes that are already built.
Right.
What we try to do is get them a little closer to the standards we want. So what improvements can we make that will be detrimental to the guest experience? But the homes themselves are all unique. And even if we were to work with developers, which we do, work with them to design the experience, we try to differentiate each property so it doesn't feel like a hotel room.
So not straight up development like a brand chain might.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of trying to have homes that are only sort of findable through Oasis, that is definitely a part of the strategy. Today, about 30% of our homes are exclusive to Oasis, and we offer those homeowners that come to us exclusively just kind of a higher level of service. So it's a pitch basically of here's why you should let us be sort of your full service one-stop shop, and don't try to have your own listing on Airbnb and another listing with a local real estate agent and a listing with us. It is important. I agree. We don't want to be just another distributor. We want to be known for a unique level of inventory and service. We have taken some leases. There's a couple of folks in the space that are scaling by actually taking long-term leases and then subletting. There's one that's pretty fast growing that's all they do. We've done that a little bit, but then that's the balance sheet risk of kind of to Cliff's point about is that the best use of capital to be taking down $30,000 a year leases. So it's a balance, I think, but definitely something to think about.
And in a way, that is what Airbnb is doing with Tilt. It's basically like a leaseback scenario, right? In a lot of ways. Yeah, interesting. Thank you for sharing your very exciting businesses with us and these insights with the group. We are ready for lunch. Thanks for this panel.
Thanks.